Right, okay, so as usual with these, I'm in quite a rush to finish this one off, so I'm going to try and speak as quickly as I can. I hope I get an audience this week. So, the first word is manos, manos. Okay, you should see from this us endings that it's going to be a fourth declension noun, hence the highlighting here. Okay, weird thing about this one is that it's feminine. Remember, fourth declension nouns, if we looked at this today, are typically masculine. However, there are 3 examples in the DVL that you need to know, and 2 of them are feminine, which is a bit weird. The meaning is hand or group of people. English word that comes from this, manual. If you're good at manual labour, if you're good at manual labour, you use your hands. If your car is a manual, you change gear with your hand. Related to, in French, you have the word man. So that's another word that's related to it. Okay, next, mare, maris. Notice this is neuter, which I tried to do all the highlighting and stuff in preparation today, but I forgot to do here. Oh, it's in the wrong colour, but I'll have to do. Okay, so it's neuter. English words, marine, maritime are from this, hence its meaning sea. You might want to know that the Latin word for the Mediterranean, as in the Mediterranean Sea, was the mare internum, i.e. the internal sea. Obviously, if you're from Italy, that kind of makes sense. Next, maritus mariti. It's just a simple second declension noun meaning husband. English words marital and matrimony are related to this. Next, mater matrice. Quite obviously feminine because it means mother. It's the third declension noun. English words maternal, matricide if you kill your mother. Stuff like that are related to this. Next, maximus, maxima, maximum. Okay, this is an irregular superlative, although it's not actually put here, of Magnus. Magnus, you'll know, means big or great, hence the meanings the biggest or the greatest. Or, you can't read it here, but you do need to know them, very big or very great. These are 2 ways of translating superlative adjectives, is to I've put the est or very in front of it. Okay, there's actually a separate thing for us to look at today, but I can't remember if I started on this or not. I need to go up. Yes, we did. So the regular superlative, kind of the main reason I've put this one on here is because of this part of the specification, comparative and superlative forms of all the adjectives listed in the DVL. Now, what's actually happened here is it's given you a superlative, probably because it's a regular, separately. So you don't need to, it's not like the other adjectives which you need to know the way that superlatives are formed, which is the issy bits. Note though, it's a 2-1-2 adjective. Us, are, it'll decline like a second, first and second declension noun. Do note, however, that I've taken these from the Wikipedia, because I was a bit lazy this week. So the order is the American order with the accusative in the wrong place. Okay, back to the list. We'll be back to this in a second. Next, medius, media, medium. I should have said on the last one, English words maximum, maximal, quite obviously come from this. Next, medius, media, medium means middle or middle of. The medieval period refers to the Middle Ages. You've got this bit, and was evil, effectively, means Middle Ages. Going back to where we were previously with mare, you've got the Mediterranean. Now, interestingly, this actually does come from another Latin word, Mediterraneus, which you could probably guess means middle of the land. So whereas the Romans called the Mediterranean the mare internum, the internal sea, we refer to it as what it kind of is and how these things are linked as the bit in the middle of the land, because this sea is within, well, it's between Europe, Southern Europe, Northern Africa, and I guess a bit of the west of Asia. Okay, next we have melior, melius. Now this is an irregular comparative. You'll notice that it is still an adjective. It means better. The French, which I've written here because I think I might butcher the pronunciation, is mieux, which is also a comparative of bien. Now, this should tell you what this is the comparative of. In Latin, it is bene, which means just like good. Well, no, sorry, that's wrong. It's comparative of bonus, which means good. There's actually a reason for this. I think, do we talk about it now? Let's have a look. Let's go back to the notes. So if we go back, we can see how it declines. You can see here, so this is one of these third, I mean it's a regular, but it's a third declension adjective, okay? So you get your neuter. We've seen a third declension adjective before. Can't really think of one off the top of my head. Ingens, okay? Not a great example actually, that one, because it's the same both ways. But with your, like you'd expect with your neuter, with these third declension adjectives, you often have two parts, okay? Because rather than with the 2-1-2s, the masculine and feminine endings are always going to be the same. And this is what this shows here, okay, in this column. Like you normally expect with neuters, the genitive, dative and ablative are all the same as also the masculine and feminine. It's just the nominative and accusative ones that are different to the masculine and feminine, but luckily they're the same as each other. Okay. At which point should I... You know what, I'll talk about this when I get to minus. Okay. Oh my goodness, we are running out of time. Right, where did we get to? Meus, meam, meum. Okay. It just means my, English word me, related to this. Okay, next, miles, militis, third declension noun. It's masculine. You can probably figure that out because all soldiers would have been masculine, men. Okay, military, militia. The verb in Latin, milito, means I serve as a soldier. So there you go, lots to relate with this. Then we get to mille, milia. Okay, now this adjective is a bit weird. I don't know if you need to know this for GCSE, but you clearly need to know what the plural's different. Why that? I mean, you might think 1,000's always plural. The difference is 1,000 is mille, and that doesn't decline, okay? This is a semi-indeclinable adjective. But in the plural, so if you had 2,000, you'd have to do milliard, for example. And I'll show you how that declines now. Again, it's in the American order, so I apologise. So mille, singular, but when you get to the accusative, it's put two here, one with one L and one with two L's each time. It's fine. So you go millia, millia, millium, millibus, millibus. You might notice these are like your neuter endings. Okay, it's a semi-indeclinable numeral. We're going to talk about this next. I just want to get it prepped. Okay. Oh, come on, Dom. Speed up. Minime is related to minimus, the next word. Okay. And so minime means very little, least, or no. You've probably met it as no most often. And it's effectively the adverbial form of minimus, minima, minimum, which is very little or very small. You might see by these very, so this is another superlative, and it's an irregular superlative of parvus. In fact, we're going to talk about this now. I didn't talk about it earlier. You might be wondering, why do you have these irregular superlatives or comparatives or whatever? Basically, these are called suppletive forms, i.e. they add to the forms. So you can see this with some verbs, for example, ferro, ferre, tuli, latus. It's actually because the reason it's so irregular is because they didn't have a word for those other tenses, hence tuli, latus. So they took the perfect and perfect passive forms from other verbs which had a similar meaning. This is what's happening with these adjectives here, is that you've got another adjective which means something very similar to parvus, and I've used those as the superlative form. Okay, and then similarly, this is another linked word, mine or minus, same thing, still from parvus, These are two suppletive forms, okay, but this time it's comparative, so it means smaller or less. English words from all these things, obviously you've got minus, you've got minimal, all these sort of things. Next, misère, misérable, misérum, another 212 adjective. Miserable, wretched, sad. In English there's, well obviously miserable comes from this. A miser is actually tends to mean someone who's quite tight with their money, but it is related to this also. Next, mito, mitole, missi, missus. Now this is a great verb, it's third conjugation. But is it the only verb on the list? No, there's one more, I think. Yeah, there's one more verb on this list. Anyway, so many words are compounds from this, in English and in Latin. So for example, you've got transmitto in Latin. We have transmit in English. It means send across. You have emit in English and emitter in Latin, which is like to send out. So if you emit a noise, you're sending out a noise. If you admit something, you're sending something to. Okay? Promise. If you promise, that's because you are effectively sending something forth. You'll say that, oh, I'll do this in the future. Okay? Loads of words, loads of compounds. It's a great verb. Next, modus, modi, manner, kind or way. Second declension, masculine as you'd expect. English word mode is from this. Next, mons, montis, mountain. Lots of Romance descendants as you'd expect. Mount is related to it as well as mountain. Okay, next. Oh, we've got another verb here. I'm going to highlight it because this is a deponent verb. Now, I'm hoping we remember from deponent verbs from last term. Deponent verbs only have three principal parts because they look passive, but they are active. Therefore, they're not going to have a perfect passive participle because they cannot be passive. So, morir, mori, mortuus sum means die. Okay, so I die, to die, I died. Okay, and related to this, the noun below, mors mortis, which is feminine. Okay, this means death. Okay, English words related to these, you have mortal. If you are mortal, that is because you can die. Okay, then you have a mortuary. A mortuary is a place where the dead go. The word for this is a morgue. Okay, adjective in Latin, mortuus, mortua, mortuum, refers to someone who's dead as well. Next, mors means soon. Bang, moving on. Did I say that right? Did I say mux? I feel like I said mors. You know what I mean. Next, multum, multum, indeclinable as an adverb. Okay, it means much, but obviously this is related to multus below. Multus, multa, multum, another 212 adjective meaning much or many. English word multiply, multiple, related to this, actually related to a Latin verb, multiplicar, which means to fold or double up. That's the plicar. Much or many, i.e. times, multiply. If you multiply things, it's because you double them up several times, or you fold them several times. Well, that's how the language works. Anyway, so moving on, we go to murus. Muri, second declension noun, means wall. I forgot to say on the last one, wito, for example, in other languages, meaning very, or many. Murus, muri, English word mural related to this. A mural is painted on a wall. The French word mur is from this. There are many other descendants. I should point out that these walls, because you do meet other walls in Latin, tend to be like city walls rather than, for example, house walls. Okay, next, nam means for, can't say much about that, moving on. Narrow, narrawi, narrawi, narratus, tell or relate. English word narrate is quite obviously from this. Okay, other words, a narrative. Okay, next, I'm going to highlight something here because this is weird. Nauta, naut I. Okay, it is masculine. Why is that weird? Well, it's a first declension noun. Most first declensions are feminine, but it makes sense because it means sailor, and all the sailors would have been men. It's one of these first declension nouns that refers to a male occupation. But actually, two more related words here: nawigo, nawigawi, nawigawi, which means sail, and nawis and nawis, which means ship. And I'm going to take these last two together because now we go from which we get the English navigate, because when people go navigating, they might be on a ship. For example, it actually comes from navis, meaning ship, as it says there, and ago. So that means if you navigate and sail, it means you go on a ship, hence sail. Then you get navis. English word naval, also from this. Now we've got ne, okay? I've added a new word. I thought I'd added a new word, but apparently I haven't. It must have not served. It can also so it means that not, or so that not. Also lest. Okay, and we saw in the first term that if you have it with the subject ne and the subjunctive, that's a negative form of when you'd have up with the subjunctive. For example, with result clauses. Next, you have ne when it's put onto another word. So this is a particle, and this will be at the start of a sentence, and it's showing you that there's a question coming up. Okay, the answer to these sort of questions is usually yes or no. So for example, are you going to the shops? You'd have ne on the first word. You could answer that yes or no. Finally, neck or neque is what that should say. Both mean neither nor. Neck is just a combining of ne and ac and not, therefore, and similarly ne and que and not. Okay, I've run out of time. There might be on the vocab test some things that we saw in here. There might not, but there might be, so you might want to revise those things. Okay, I hope this was a good video. Bye.